Okay, so the bag of diodes showed up and I finally got some time to work with them. I got 4 of them sitting out here. And I looked up that bridge rectifier back again on Mauser, and let me get back to it here. Remember, this was the result right here. Well, if you click on data sheet, you get this, and you scroll down, you get an actual diagram of how to set this up. And all you need to remember is this little plus sign part of it is the band side of the diode. There you go. So basically I'm going to wire them together, solder them a little bit so I can get it prepared to put back onto the circuit board. Okay, there you go. I just kind of twisted the right ends together, twisted the legs together, and then cut part of the legs off so that I just have one leg sticking down, just kind of to mimic this thing. And I'm going to throw some soldering flux on the legs. It basically cleans them as you add heat. And I have a really nice soldering station over here, and I got it set to about 750 degrees Fahrenheit. What's nice about this iron is it's a very good heat recovery. It actually has a heater right in the tip. The heating element is down there. There you go. Now they're soldered to be easier to bend into place. And basically, the notched part is the positive, and then I can just tell on here, the positive goes to where the two diodes that have negative, or the two rings or whatever you want to call them, together. That's my positive. I'll put it in the board and solder it in and see what happens. Okay, so the legs of my new diodes are too big for the holes in the circuit board, so I'm just going to punch them out because there is a ton of room on the back side for a solder pad. I could probably drill it out several more fractions of 1/16 of an inch and still have plenty of solder pad left on the back. I'm definitely not worried about it looking pretty. And honestly, you could leave quite a bit of standoff because the legs actually act as heat sinks or heat diffusers, whatever you call it. Let's see if I can throw some more solder on that. Not quite not going to reach. See all the big circles around the legs? 10% for you, couldn't I? Zoom in. Okay. Solder is on. Clip off some excess here. You don't want to make it flush with the circuit board. Just right where the leg and solder meet is where you want to clip it off. Let's see, you also need to solder in the old cap. And you got to watch on capacitors. If there is any kind of marking on it, then you might have a positive and negative, like electrolytic caps. This one is not, so it can go in either way. Bend the legs up a little bit, keep it in place. Okay. Now, I really think I can get it back together enough and give it a test run. How cool would it be if we just fired up? Make sure to get this grounding screw back on and mount the circuit board. Okay. This is the part where we cross our fingers. Works. Let's see if it'll actually put some air in the tank. That took forever to get 50 psi, and it is super loud. I'm curious. Let's see, maybe unplug it here. Remember the cover that I took off? It was on the end of the air compressor here. I wonder if that's affecting it at all. Ooh, that thing is warm. Let's set you back up here. My bit is crap, or those screws are crap. Another thing that I want to be sure of here is the fan operating properly. Since it's running, I might as well mount it back on there. Bit is definitely worn out on that end. Okay, so I want to carefully turn this on, make sure that fan is spinning, since it is main cooling. Yep, it's definitely spinning. To me, does it sound a lot quieter? I think it's a ton quieter, but that also worries me a little bit. But that might just be not only just a cover, but also the air filter. Does that make sense? I think that's what that is. I mean, it makes sense that it's quieter with the air filter on there, but it didn't really look like an air filter to me. It just looked like a plastic cover. And then now that I think about it, yeah. So I'm gonna let that run and see if it gets up to full PSI and shuts itself off, and maybe discharge it and, you know, refill it a few times, make sure the diodes actually hold up. Almost forgot we got one last little screw to put back on. It's just a mount screw for the circuit board here. No biggie. And may as well put the last 4 bolts in that hold this plastic cover down. Need a bit more extension on this thing. On cross-thread nose, but for a $100 piece of shit air compressor, I really am not going to take the time to do that by hand to make it right. So this is an interesting issue. A lot of people don't know this, but there's usually some kind of petcock or something on the bottom of the air compressor for letting the water out. As the air compressor sucks in air, it's also sucking in moisture. And when it compresses, it cools at the bottom of the air compressor, and you want to get it out so that it doesn't rust. Say this one's probably broken. So I can't make it turn. looks like it was just kind of riveted on there on the end. If I grab a hold of it, well, I just can't quite get around that petcock. It appears to be reverse threaded. Yeah, that's how well it was on there. Oh, it's even got little splines in the hole. Shows how good a job it was doing, which was 0. Yeah, I can't get a hold of that at all. It's kind of an issue. You really want to be able to get the water out of this. I think I'm just tearing it up even more. Probably what we should do is get a wrench on this bigger part and just replace it somehow. I mean, that thing was crap. It wasn't doing anything anyway. So, like I said, I'm going to let it fill up and then I'll let it out just like that and do that cycle it a few times, make sure the diodes hold up, and then I think we'll call this thing fixed. Okay, well, it shut itself off. Looks like I got to almost 100 psi. And the fan is going. So I'm wondering if it was supposed to shut itself off or if it gave out again. I guess we'll let some air out and see if it goes down and kicks itself back on. There you go. There you go, kicked off her. I'd say 96 or 7 psi. Fan's still going. That's a good thing. I never really did see any specs on this thing other than it's a 2-gallon. I mean, I never even did find a model number. Yeah, then we do have a model number. FP 2000 or 200 300 AV. 150-second on, 350 seconds off. So not much of a duty cycle. Well, anyway, I'm going to call this one done.